Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. It's the HEQ Swan K-1, aka Fox Tech. Pretty portable. This is the whole setup. It's a VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing fixed wing. So like a multi-rotor drone, it can launch and land going straight up and down, and you get the efficiency of a fixed wing, so it can fly like, I don't know if you remember the Parrot Disco. I did so much reviews on, amazing smart plane, but you can launch and land in a small area, small space. If you missed the unboxing, go ahead and check that video. I'll have it pop up here and also down in the description down below where you can get the K-1. I'm doing a series on this. So first was the unboxing, now is the flight test, initial flight test, see how it is. And then I'm going to be doing a range test too out here. I know it looks kind of dry today. Is this Hawaii or what? I live in Hawaii and it's just like the desert summer recently. I figured out a way to record the screen here. I just sideloaded the APK for a screen recorder. This is an Android device in here, gives you a screen, don't have to buy any other phones or anything. And so we're just going to set it up, launch this bugger, and just see what this thing can do. So let's get started with the K-1. Okay guys, so putting this sucker together is really easy actually. I didn't get the version that has the case unfortunately, but they're sending me that black case where you can just have everything in it. Anyway, going to set this up really quick. You take the main fuselage, you figure out which one is which on these arms. Really easy. I kind of showed this in my unboxing. You can see kind of the slope of the wing. Make sure you have the plug on these sides and just basically sliding it in, slapping it together. Get the same shape and line up the connectors. And you can see how easy those plug in. So then you can just kind of set it down and start putting the wings on. Just make sure you have the correct side. You have the leading edge, right, which is thicker. The tailing edge here, which is thinner, and just match it up to the same shape of the actual fuselage here. The main drone going over the kind of landing gear and the motors. You can see how these are like those older Phantom style motors. Super simple. Other wing, boom, boom. Slide the little spar, I guess you would call it, into the hole where it goes. Can't really screw this up. Just make sure everything slaps together, and there you go. So that's basically like, you know, 75% set up, and then we just have to put these propellers on. And the dimple motors are the reverse threads for the black, so make sure black goes on the dimple shaft motors, spinning them reverse, giving a good little crank on them. And these ones here where there's no dimple on the shaft, you see that there, those get the silver ones, and those are clockwise, regular thread. What we do next is put the battery in. So grab it here, there's the battery compartment. We got Velcro on the battery, we got Velcro in the battery compartment. Can't really get this wrong, just match up the shape it's at and pop it in. Let's turn on the controller. So check this thing out. It has a full-on screen. This is an Android, I think it was an 8.0 when I checked it in my unboxing. We went through kind of the info. Cool little controller, don't have to worry about getting any phone, just press and hold the power. And this thing just boots up. Takes a little while to boot up because it's basically booting up an Android phone, right? Plugging in to boot up. And this thing is gonna go through that infamous old like BL Heli firmware ESC tones. You hear that? Sounds very familiar, right? Closes the door better if you just kind of shove the cord with the connectors up in there, push everything down, and then go ahead and this thing will close, hopefully really nice and tight and perfectly. Let's see. Yeah, so that's way better. That sucker's ready. I'm gonna get this thing going on the screen. If the screen does automatically turn off, just hit power once. Once you swipe up, it goes into the K-1 app. So we're just gonna press OK. It's asking me to calibrate the pitot tube, which is the airspeed sensor. Calibrate. And so the first step is just holding this. There's a hole in the front of the airspeed tube. And if you look at the screen, it's in yellow and it's in calibration. So I'm just holding it shut with my finger, that little hole, just like it shows. When that turns green, now I need to let my finger off and just blow. Kind of gently, and you see how it immediately picks up air and it's done. It turned green. I just blew just like the graphic on the screen. Gonna hit completed. Let's just do a compass just to make sure everything's good. Lift this guy up and start turning it in the direction it shows. So I'm just gonna kind of turn it above my head. Now it says to put the drone down like it's flying in fixed wing and then spin it around clockwise as well. So I'm doing that now. And if you forget the orientation, look at the wingtips. These are the things that you're going to need to know. If it doesn't work the first time, you know, you're going to need to go back in, try it again. Unfortunately, we're using up battery. And it's still saying not completed. Okay, well, now it's saying try again. So it turned yellow. Let's try that. I'm just going to try it standing up so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Not the easiest to do in front of you. Turn green, see that? Now we need to turn it on its side and just kind of copy how the wingtips are. So facing me, wingtips to my right, and turning it. Now this is where you're going to want to be careful of holding the top of the wing like this, because you might pull that sucker off, right? Boom, turn green, making sure the wings are all on good. You know, you may have these issues, and I'm just kind of showing it to you. Usually if you just tap the screen away from this, it usually kind of goes away, but it's not. So apparently there's an issue with the app right now. So I'm going to go ahead and close the app, and then we'll go back into the app. Let's go ahead and launch that again. So I'm dragging up, and I'm just finding HEQ Fly right there. Maybe it's a little warm for it today, I don't know. So this is different. So it's different than the, make sure you do all these things. Different what it said before. Now it just went right to my GPS point. See where I am there in the middle of the Kula Park, a lot greener on the satellite imagery. So I know this is taking a while, but you just want to do this just so you know it's going to fly correctly. Right now it's saying returning, so that's, we definitely don't want that. So let's hit the return to home button again. There we go. So if you see returning on the top left of the screen, hit that return to home B button again to make sure it goes out of return to home. We want to be in position hold, so that's this switch all the way to the left. And we have airspeed again. So let's try that again. Apparently every time you go into the app, it has to do that. So let's calibrate it. And by the way, guys, this whole airspeed top fin here actually came off the glue out of the box. So a little bit of a con there. I went ahead and used my E6000, my favorite glue in the world, and glued that back in. And immediately green again. So, you know, sorry about the frustration. There we go. So I tapped away from the screen, and that's what it's supposed to look like. Now we can go ahead and put in our camera, because it says position hold up here. It's got 13 satellites up there. So we're ready to put our DJI Osmo Action camera in. Remember, you can put anything you want, like a GoPro or whatever. So just sliding it in here, basically recording in rock steady 4K mode. Yep, so you get some good stabilization. Of course, make sure your lens is all clean before you put this thing on. Want to make that sucker nice and tight. And there we go. So we're going to have this camera going, and we're going to have that camera. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Wi-Fi tether, and I'm going to throw this in the bag so that my the actual device on here can actually lock onto the Wi-Fi. It is connected. Awesome. So pretty cool, huh? How you can do that kind of stuff. And we're back in the app. So let's launch this thing. Even though we're getting a little bit of like 10 from this direction, let's just see what happens. Left stick down and to the right. There we go. Motors go. Left stick push up. Gaining some altitude, and look at that, it's fighting that wind coming from that direction. A little bit up and down. Boy, so this is really gonna test how it is hovering in like 10 right now. That's kind of cool. So let's just see how it hovers there, you know, let off the sticks. Screen is looking great here. I can see where it's at. I can zoom in on the screen too. Look at this, just pinching, zooming. So let's spin it. You see the left stick? Basically kind of like you'd yaw on a drone. So you could fly it around like this all day if you wanted. Just spinning like this. A little bit when you spin it, of course, the wind's gonna blow these wings around, right? So it's not gonna be as stable as a regular drone. Into the wind here. And you can see how the wind is blowing it. Now that's about 10 right now. Getting a little unstable. To be expected, right? Because it's got wings. Now it's blowing hard off the sticks, and it's just gonna hover there. And then of course we have our right stick, right? So we can go forward, still flying it in multi-rotor drone mode, forward, back. Let's see how fast it kind of goes in drone mode. Full stick forward. See, it's not going to go into plane mode. It's just going to keep that like 30-degree maximum. Pulling back with the wind. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, that wind is really going to blow on it. So be careful, guys. If it's really windy, don't face it like perpendicular to the wind if you're trying to fly around like a drone. So I'll turn it like, so it's orientated to me like this. And we can also do rolling, hopefully. Yeah, rolling left. Rolling right. So a little interesting when it gets up to speed. So just want to be careful of that, okay? So here we go. We'll go up and then we'll switch into our fixed wing mode. So I'm pushing up on the control. Getting some wind. Let's see how it hangs on here. And we want to be above, I think it is 20 meters, 30 meters. So looking at the bottom of the screen, altitude 17. I think you got to be like, let's try it 21. Let's see if it lets us. You got to press this A button here. Not letting us, okay? Got to go up to 30, I guess. So looking at the altitude, bottom kind of middle of the screen. There we go, 30 meters, pressing A. Not working. Holding A. Okay, there we go. That sucker's going now, guys. I guess you got to hold A. Sorry about that. So we'll let it fly that way. Now remember, the left and right don't work on the throttle stick. See how I'm moving this left and right? You have to move the right stick like what your ailerons would be to turn. So here we go. It's going with the wind now. Man, this is how it is, guys. Working in this like 10 mile per hour wind, maybe even 15 sometimes. So I'm just doing a slow circle. Let's see how low we can kind of get. Pulling the left stick is lowering our speed. I'll have that up on the screen on the bottom. We're going 8.5 meters per second, 9 meters per second. And you kind of would fly it just like a regular plane, right? I can see my video on the bottom left of the screen. You see that? And I can also see where the drone is on the map, on the center of the screen. So it looks like it refreshes and then centers back on the drone when it goes out of the map. I'll have that up on the screen so you guys can see that. Or you could always zoom out, you know what I mean? I'm zooming out right now. But look at this thing fly, man. We're at 67% power, so it uses a lot of power when you are in drone mode and just hovering in multi-rotor mode. Pushing forward on the right stick to try to go down in altitude. It looks like it might not actually go lower than 30 meters while we're in fixed wing mode. Let's try it. We'll come around one more time. I'm just keeping it in line of sight for right now. We're going to do a range test on this thing, remember, guys? You can turn off that range limit. I think it's set at like 500 meters right now or something. I'm going to come right overhead and I'm pushing down forward on the right stick. Let's see how low it lets us go. Not letting me go lower than 33 meters, guys, about 30 meters. So this isn't going to be one where you can buzz yourself like really low or go really low, okay? But look how easy this thing is to fly. I'll circle around one more time. Ooh, that wind. Hopefully you guys can kind of see it on my hat cam. I know it's not the best camera, but we'll circle around. So we're getting the full fixed wing experience here. Hopefully that Osmo cam is doing good. Going into the wind, I'm going to full throttle it up on the left stick. See how fast this thing can go. Keeping the controller pointed at it, 20 meters per second. And I just let off. We'll do a full hard right turn. Fantastic. Now remember, it's not like a manual craft. This is a GPS smart plane. Woo, with the wind. It's fighting it though. This is pretty cool. Let's get some altitude here. So pulling back on the right stick. If you see my hat cam here, I'm pulling up and it's automatically ramping the motors up to climb. Remember, there's no aileron, no flaps on this thing. So it's using those 4 motors in order to do what it needs to do. Awesome, but I'm having that flight experience. If I want to click on the video, that streaming video, look at that, I just clicked on it. But this is basically what I'm seeing on the screen is what the FPV is. I'm gonna come down, so I'm full stick forward on the right stick. And you have to push full stick forward and then turn the right stick to the right if you wanted to steer it right, if you want to steer and go down. So pretty darn cool, man. This thing is working great. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna circle around. So pushing to the right, the video is getting, a little pixelated. Let's come back, guys, and let's do a return to home. See how accurate it is? And then we'll relaunch. I just don't want to use too much battery up. It looks like we're 57%. So I'm going that way with the wind. So it's going way the heck over there into the pasture. B, if I hold B, let's see if it returns to home. Nice, so it's turning to the right automatically. I've got 56% power left. Video's starting to get a little bit choppy there. And let's just see like if it can come back, right? Now remember, this doesn't have like a tiltable camera. So you're not gonna be able to pitch this camera up and down, it's just fixed. So unless, so that was one of the things the Parrot Disco was awesome with. It had an electronic EIS stabilization camera that took like 4K footage in a super wide 180-degree angle. And then it would let it electronically like zoom around, so you got the feeling of pitching up and down and stuff. Although that was only 1080p was the maximum. So cool, so it came overhead. I really hope you guys can see this. You'll see it when it comes down. It switched immediately to the sky into multi-rotor mode, and it's just coming down where it thinks it needs to land. Fighting the wind a little bit, kind of spinning, you see that? That's interesting. Kind of adjusting it. It may even be, yeah, so it's trying to get back to its original flight orientation, I think. So it is now height. Yeah, let's just let it land. Come on, baby. It did it. Awesome. So there you go. That's what you can kind of expect with this thing. That was great. We've got 47% left. So I'm going to launch again, but just remember, be in multi-rotor mode the least amount as possible if you really want to get efficient with this thing. This is basically 1, 2, this is like 4 feet away. So that's going to get you in the vicinity. I'm okay with that. You know, DJI drones, I give them a hard time because they're so much more advanced. And sometimes they're the same way. They're about this far away. So given that this is a VTOL craft, I think that is incredibly awesome, working really well. So let's launch again, guys. As you can see on the top left of the screen, it's in return mode still. So we got to get out of that by pressing B or holding B. Let's try that again. Hold B. Yeah, I did hover this in my house. I kept it in quadcopter mode, and it was really interesting. When the battery got low, it went up to its return to home altitude and tried to come back and land. So this does have a low battery return to home failsafe. So I'm going to launch again by holding the left stick down and right, and then pushing up on the throttle. Okay, so you got to make sure you do that. Really important. Let's see if we can launch maybe at a lower altitude. I'm going to try a little lower. I'm going to try at 15 meters, okay? Let's try it. So holding A. Won't do it. Up higher, let's try 20. Okay, 21, 22. Holding A. It does it at 20. Whoa, 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 whoa. It went back. It went back into it. That was weird. Okay, let's try that again. Looks like you definitely want to be at 30, because if it gets too low down and starts messing up, that might happen, okay? Holding A again. Wow, that was really weird. Did you see that? Maybe because I was going in the wrong direction. There we go. Let's be into the wind. So I just kind of orientated myself so it was facing the wind. And I'm going to go up and press A again. Holding A. There we go. Okay. That time it went in. So really you got to be 30 meters or higher, or else it like hiccups and goes back into drone mode apparently. Okay. So anyway, we got the video there on the screen. I'll have that up for you that I'm recording. Switch to the map. And let's kind of zoom way out. Okay. I'm just kind of flying out. Maybe we will do kind of a range test, but I think the geo limit is actually set right now. Let's not fly over that house there. So let's see what happens if we hit that red line on the screen, okay? Let's see if it tries to return home. Okay, I'm just kind of watching the video and I'm watching it crossing the line. Nice, so that is a return to home fail-safe distance. So that's set by default, okay? And if you look at the distance, that was about 500 meters, all right? So if we want to turn off return to home, once it starts getting closer, let's see if we can do that. It's already returning home and landing, trying to land. That's so cool, man. You just don't have to have a tiny little or a huge field to launch this thing if you don't want to. Let's try to shut off return to home by holding in B. Nope, let's try to click it once. There we go. So you click it once to shut it off. Let's go into settings real quick. Geo radius, you see that there? You can go to 15,000. Let's try it. Check. Okay, we just set it. Anyway, let's just keep flying until it has to tell us we have to land. So holding A again. Yep. Going back into fixed wing mode. That's just so awesome, man. Okay. And look at this on the map, guys. No more red ring at 500 meters. That is fan-diddly-tastic, isn't it? That's so darn awesome. 31% power left. Just gonna kind of turn around. Let's look at our video so we're not flying over anybody's house and stuff. This is just so cool. Maybe we will kind of do like a little bit of a range test here. So as you can see, this camera that's on it for the FPV isn't that great. A little pixelated, you know, maybe I'll put like a DJI FPV air camera on there. That would be kind of neat. I don't know if you can hear it in my mic, but the wind it's blowing on it pretty darn hard right now. Interesting how the percentage of the power went up to 32%. Maybe when it went into fixed wing, it's drawing less power, right? so it can do that. That's awesome. So we're just cruising at like 42 meter altitude, and I'm just going in a straight line. Let's look at our map again. Approaching 1,000 meters away. And it's apparently it's efficient enough to know it's gaining battery power. That's so interesting to me. So anyway, so tilting the right stick down to gain some altitude, 50 meters. And you see how that's really the only way you can look up at the sky with this drone, is when you're tilting the drone up and down when you're flying, which is kind of unfortunate. So, gosh, I just have the controller pointed to it. So here we go. Good little mini range test. I'm going to do a full-on one at a 100% battery, but pressing to the right, making sure this thing is flying okay. Yeah, it's doing great. 1.6 kilometers away, and you know, the video is still kind of normal how it always is. I'm just, if you look at me how I'm holding this thing, I just have these antennas up kind of in a Y-ish pattern, and I'm just pointing directly where I think the drone is, perpendicular to the drone. And I do still have pretty darn good video, 32% power. So I'll have that DJI Osmo Action camera recording, remember, still. So just doing fantastic, man. I hope that battery percent is correct, but we'll be booking it with the wind pretty darn quick. It's cruising at 11-12 meters per second, bottom middle of the screen. You can see that. I'm going to pull down on the left throttle. Look at this, saving a bunch of power. It's just trying to maintain its altitude, and it's cruising at 10 meters per second. See that? Letting off. So this is a far flying wing, guys, pretty far, 2.4 kilometers. See that on the bottom-ish right of the screen? Let me see if I can circle that with my drawing pen. Let's try that out. Distance, whoop, right around there. Cool, huh? Kind of in the way with my controls, but yeah, that's it, man. So I don't know if I want to go much further, but man, that battery is so efficient when it's in fixed wing mode. Oh my goodness. And I still have control. Bring up the map again. There's our whole flight route there. Looking awesome. Pressing on the video again on the bottom left, and it just switches you out just like other drones. Very, very cool. Turning to the right a little bit. Oh, we just kind of lost video. You see that it locked up? But now it's back. You can see kind of the West Maui Point over there. But it looks like the video is getting extremely bad. So hopefully it's going to come back soon. Nope, it's not coming back yet. So I'm going to go ahead and press return to home, getting a little choppy, holding B. Let's see what it does. Uh-oh. Is there going to be a data transmission problem? I hope not. It's getting a little bit scary. It's not going into return to home, right? So kind of scaring me. That's not working. Tap it once. Oh, that's why. Gosh, I don't know why. I was clicking and holding B and it wasn't going into return to home, right, guys? Just reiterating that. Once I tapped it, look at this. I'll have this up, turned around. You can see the graphic on the map. Fantastic. Coming back at us. And it's gonna be flying freaking fast right now. 21 meters per second. This thing is gonna come back quick because it's going with the wind now. Hopefully it's maintaining altitude. Yep, 53 meters. It's able to maintain it by just using the bottom or top motors to like pitch itself. Remember, it has no flaps, no aileron flaps on the wings. In order to just glide, it's always got to be having those motors on to do its pitching and its rolling for turning, right? So let's see how straight this line is coming back. It looks fantastic. Look at that. So I'll have up on the screen actually pop up how far this thing went. I wasn't looking at when I turned around, but I think that must have been around 3 or so, 4 kilometers before the video seemed to start chopping out when I turned that way a little. So, you know, antenna orientation changed on the craft. So let's just see how this thing does. It's maintaining its height, fantastic. Back into the video. Hopefully that DJI Osmo action cam is still recording great on the front there. 29% power, so my goodness. Doing really, really well. Let's go back into the map. A pretty darn good straight line. You can see how it's kind of walking a little bit, where it looks like it's pointing to the right into the wind a little, because the wind is coming from this direction and the drone's out there. So it looks like it's kind of walking, turning to the right and just maintaining that straight line path, or trying to at least. Slight, yeah, actually not a hiccup. I was looking at the other line on the way out, but look how straight that line is, coming all the way to our home point. So I think this is going to be the final run, guys, for this thing. Not even using up the battery to its fullest. We're going to save that for the range test. But so far, just fantastic, man. Now it's blowing 15 to 20. So let's hope this thing, when it goes into its multi-copter mode, that wind isn't just freaking hammering it and it slides back too far. I might have to go get it if it does that. There it is. Coming right at me. Boom. Switched into vertical takeoff and landing mode. And watch that thing come down. Let's see it. That's great how it just knows to fight the wind. It wants to fight to keep that spot, that GPS point. It knows where that home point is, and it's gonna fight and do whatever it has to do to land somewhere near it. You know, it's gonna tell those motors, no, push this way, push that way, turn, spin. Whatever you gotta do to make me land on that point. Low power status, please fly carefully came up. So it looks like it comes up at maybe 25% is what it's set up. And of course you can change all that stuff, guys. But I did, remember I was saying I did test it in my house, or outside my house in my yard. And it did a return to home when it thought it didn't have enough power. Whoa, yeah, the wind's really coming up. Look at it spinning it around. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, getting wonky here. Nope, it was able to fix itself. I thought it might crash, but I'm gonna leave it. Come on, baby. Touch. Yes. It figured out it was landed, so it cut most of the power, and then it just shuts off the propellers. So as usual, I'll have all this stuff down in the description down below, so you can check out the links. Go to the website, tell me what you think in the description, in the comments actually, of what you thought about this flight, if it performed how you thought it would, better, worse. Kind of farther back than where I normally do my range tests. I'm normally like right up, not behind a fence and stuff, so that actually did a lot better than I thought it would. Kind of a bonus how the wind came up. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's 15 to 20. It really is blowing more than I'd normally launch even a regular drone flight test, and this thing could handle it. Let's do a quick pros and cons. Do not switch into fixed wing mode if you're like lower than 20 meters or 20 meters, or actually 30 meters. Because what seemed to happen is it could switch into it at 20, but then I think it has like a fail safe where if it, for some reason, is under 30, it'll go back into multi-rotor mode. And that started getting really wonky. It started like chattering, and I was like, almost thought it was gonna crash. And then I went up to a little bit past 30 and it had no problem switching into fixed wing mode. When it flipped up that one time, the last landing, it actually looked like it might have lost GPS. I think there was a 3D lock warning pop up here. So if you do have a camera like this on the front, just be ready for it to, maybe when it gets ready to land, it may get kind of finicky with that GPS because the antenna is now sideways, right? Preferably you want those GPS antennas facing up towards the satellites, but when it turns sideways, you're like cutting off most of your antenna radiation array there, you know, the whole cone where it can see the satellites in the sky. So just be wary of that. I almost took over. Worst case scenario, you can switch this over to attitude mode where it shuts off the position lock, and then you can just fly it without any GPS help. The two right positions are both altitude hold only, no GPS lock. All the way to the left is the GPS lock. Controls work fantastic. It felt just like a Parrot Disco. Speeding up, slowing down, it would maintain whatever speed, even if you pulled down to slow down as much as possible. It would maintain the speed it needed to keep the altitude, which you could just monitor on the bottom of your screen. So that was also fantastic. Just controlling, rolling and all that stuff. You know, it has a limited roll because this is like a drone plane with GPS. So it's not gonna let you do spins, loops and stuff. We did do some full throttle runs, you know, just basically when it's in fixed wing mode, just punch that sucker and we got going pretty quick. Remember, I was able to change the geo radius, maximum radius of 15,000 feet. A little bit of a con here in the settings, you cannot change to imperial units. So I have to just look at the meters. A lot of you guys in other places of the world are gonna love that. But for me, you know, I like seeing my feet, miles, mile per hour and all that stuff. And it looks like we cannot do that even in American hand control mode. Hopefully with some updates, this thing can be pretty awesome. Pretty satisfied so far though, man. This looks like it's gonna be one of my next favorite, well, my only favorite VTOL aircraft. Stay tuned, we're probably gonna do some mods on this guy. Maybe put that DJI FPV camera in there so we can have video for longer, clear video. So stay tuned guys, thanks for watching. This thing's beeping, gotta turn it off. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.